1,000 years have gone by since the spell was cast. The Magus who cursed you wrote the whole story down in there.
I was fascinated by the Magus' story. I wanted to see if it was true.
Why have you done all this?
I'm eccentric.
So Xanatos explains all about this new world they've entered while Detective Monza, from earlier, explores what was causing all that falling debris.
Sorry, pal, but this investigation isn't over yet. Don't tell me this is where Dracula shows up. A good laugh would be worth a lot of money right about now.
You know, for a snoop, I sure do talk to myself a lot. So Goliath dives down and catches her and does his best to explain who they are.
My kind have no names, but you humans call me Goliath.
Your kind? You mean there's more than one of you?
Barely.
We treat the mentally disabled one as a dog, so I don't know if that counts.
So he climbs back up the building, carrying her along with him. Okay, so that part didn't happen. But she does befriend the Gargoyles and becomes sort of the April O'Neil of the group. You know, if April was packing. This starts off a quasi-romance between Goliath and Elisa, which I always thought was kind of weird. I mean, what would the kids look like? Nope, not gonna think about it. Nope, just erase it from my memory. How come my mind never does what I tell it to? So, if there's ever a time-traveling fish-out-of-water story, you know there's gotta be a few scenes where they interact comically with modern technology. But to the show's credit, it's pretty downplayed. They usually only do it when these three are around.
What do you suppose this does? Whoa! Hey! Hey! Let me out!
But it's decided that the Gargoyles really do need names, so they decide to name themselves after the famous city landmarks.
Does the sky need a name? Does the river?
The river's called the Hudson.
Fine, lass. Then I will be the Hudson as well.
Because it's old, dirty, and often very smelly. Just like me.
Brooklyn. I'm Brooklyn.
Broadway.
Lexington. Do you like it?
They're all fine names. I guess he'll need one as well now.
Oh, I've got one for him too.
He'll be New York Metropolitan Sewer System.
You're Bronx.
I think he likes it.
By the way, am I the only one that thought Lexington should have been named Queens? Oh, I gotta stop picking on him. So, in a surprise twist, Goliath's old flame returns as well. Only this time she's called Demona, voiced by another Star Trek actor, the one who played Troy. Except she's not quite as Goliath remembers her, as she wants revenge on all humans because of how they betrayed her clan.
We have no human friends, nor should we. Humanity is a poison that must be purged from this planet.
I want you to get rid of the humans.
Humanity is our enemy, Goliath.
Yeah, but we make such good porn. You gotta give us that. Sort of like a female Magneto, Demona actually becomes one of the great cartoon villains. Always vengeful and always cold, with that great brooding voice.
If you are not my ally, then you are my enemy.
And it turns out Xanatos becomes a villain too, always hatching diabolical schemes to gain more power and control, but always staying suave and savvy.
Go ahead. Without me, you'd still be gathering moss.
Such is the plot to Gargoyles, as they constantly fight not only Demona and Xanatos, but a whole slew of other baddies. The stories were sometimes episodic, but mostly intertwined, the best ones being about Demona's past and how she survived all these centuries. For example, there's one episode where Demona goes back in time and tries to convince herself to kill Goliath and wage war on all humanity. But the hopeful Demona of the past doesn't want to believe that she becomes the vengeful Demona of the future. This is actually a really clever idea.
The humans did this, and you can stop it. Destroy all the humans. Rule the Gargoyles. Rule the world. I am what you will become. I will never be like you. Ah! I do not wish to hurt you. And I do not wish to be you!
And I don't wish for you to hurt you while I'm you. There's also episodes with mythical characters like King Arthur and Puck, but again, they don't make them as cheesy as it sounds. They actually give them the dignity that a lot of these myths already had. That's pretty impressive for a kid's show. But I think my favorite episode is the one called Future Tense, where Goliath arrives in the future and all hell broke loose as Xanatos has apparently taken over. Trying to set things right, all the gargoyles get killed and slaughtered by Xanatos' army. But then it turns out Xanatos is really a computer with all the memories of the original person. But then it turns out it wasn't Xanatos at all, it was Lexington, who's become overtaken by madness. But then it turns out it was all an illusion by Puck to try and get a mythical emblem from Goliath. And then it turns out it may or may not have been a dream. And then it turns out that Goliath is a woman. Okay, that didn't happen, but you get the idea. This show was filled with plot twists and surprise endings that actually all seemed to add up. It didn't seem forced or contrived.
This just might be fun after all.
Oh, by the way, did I mention that Puck is voiced by Data, also from Star Trek? Good God, they should just make the credits look like this! After the first 2 seasons were such a big hit, they went into their next and final season called The Goliath Chronicles. This is where I kind of remember it getting weird. It wasn't horrible, but it just wasn't as strong as it used to be. Xanatos is now a full-time friend, Demona was rarely seen, and the villains were replaced by these weird sort of gargoyle KKK rejects called Quarrymen. That's really lame. The stories were a lot weaker too. For example, there's an episode where Broadway becomes a TV star, and another one where Goliath actually goes on trial. I wouldn't be surprised if there was an episode entitled Shark Jumping in You. But I remember the original shows, and they were always gripping and clever. It's funny because this show came on when I was in the middle of high school, around the point when you kinda stop watching kids' cartoons. So the rare time someone would mention this show, I'd be like, what? I don't know any But in secret, I would actually watch every one of them, because it was just that good. I don't know if it really changed anything in terms of kids shows like Batman or Animaniacs, but it was certainly a welcome detour from what Disney usually did. It really stood on its own and created some really wonderful and really unique stories. Gargoyles is a blast from the past that is sure to live on in the future. I'm the Nostalgia Critic, I remember it so you don't have to.